The one who conquers himself is the strongest warrior. In life, the most dangerous enemy rarely stands before us in clear form. It often lurks deep within our own minds. Fear, laziness, bursts of anger, pride, and the silent doubts that quietly gnaw away at our will. A person may defeat foes on the battlefield and surpass thousands in competition. Yet if they cannot master the storm of emotions raging inside their heart, every outward victory remains nothing more than a sandcastle before the rising tide. Conquering oneself is not a loud battle filled with swords and battle cries. It is a silent war waged in the most ordinary moments of life. It is the choice to stand up when the body begs to surrender, to stay silent instead of answering with rage, and to take one more step forward even when the heart yearns to turn back. Each time we rise above ourselves, we forge another layer of steel into our will. Just as the blacksmith must thrust iron into glowing fire and hammer it fiercely to shape a sword blade, a human being must confront their own weaknesses to temper the strength of their spirit. Conquering oneself is the power of self-awareness and self-mastery. The truly strong are not those without weaknesses, but those who dare to look their weaknesses straight in the eye without fleeing. They understand that within every person exist two opposing forces, one pulling toward safety and ease, the other toward growth and transcendence. When we choose the path of discipline and perseverance, we are gradually becoming the true warrior of our own life. The miracle is this: conquering oneself does not make us rigid, but opens our soul wider and brings deeper peace. Those who have mastered themselves no longer need to display their strength, for their inner world stands as steady as a mountain. They walk through life with the calm of one who clearly knows who they are and where they are going. That is why the greatest victory in a human life is not conquering the outer world, but illuminating and ruling the inner world. When that happens, each of us can become the strongest warrior, not on any battlefield, but on the journey of our own soul's growth. Right now, you already possess everything you need to face whatever the world may throw at you. Brian Tracy. Most of our fears do not come from circumstances, but from the feeling that we are not enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, not ready enough. From the moment we face life, we are already equipped with an inner treasure, the ability to think, adapt, learn, endure, and rise again after every wound. It is like an invisible compass buried deep in the soul, always ready to point the way when storms arrive. The world may hurl failure, pressure, rejection, or sudden upheavals at us. Yet every challenge is truly only a mirror, reflecting the strength we have not yet recognized in ourselves. People often underestimate their own capacity to endure. We believe we will collapse under hardship. But when the real storm strikes, something profound within us suddenly awakens, calmer, clearer, stronger. Like a seed lying dormant in the earth, seemingly fragile, yet when pressed by darkness and the weight of soil, it breaks through and reaches toward the light. The greatest power of a human being lies not in controlling the world, but in the ability to respond to the world. We cannot decide everything that will happen, but we always hold the right to choose our attitude, our thoughts, and our actions. That very choice shapes the character of a mature human being. Those who understand this no longer see challenges as sentences, but as tests that reveal the depth of their own soul. When life suddenly throws a stone onto your path, remember that you are not walking empty-handed. Within you already lies the resilience forged through past hardships, the wisdom gathered from mistakes, and the heart that knows how to rise after every wound. You are not waiting for strength to come from outside. That strength has lived inside you all along. And when you truly believe it, no matter how harsh the world becomes, it turns into nothing more than a training ground, a place where you discover just how powerful you truly are. Never let the limited imagination of others confine you. Mae C. Jemison. The world sees us not through our real abilities, but through the limits in its own perception. When someone says you can't do it, more often than not, it is not an objective judgment, but merely a mirror reflecting their own fears, doubts, and invisible walls within their mind. They measure the future with the tiny ruler of their personal experience, then unconsciously place that same ruler over your life. In the journey of living, every human being is like a young sprout reaching for the light. Yet all around are voices of doubt, people who believe that sprout can only grow to a certain height. They mean no harm. Their imagination simply has never witnessed a taller tree. But the nature of growth does not obey the imagination of the crowd. When the roots are deep enough and the desire strong enough, the sprout can still pierce the hardest soil and rise into the vast sky. The most dangerous limits are not those imposed from outside, but the ones we unconsciously accept from others. When we hear a doubting voice too many times, it can become the voice inside our own head. And once that happens, we begin to shrink our dreams to fit inside someone else's frame. But humans were not born to live inside such narrow cages. The essence of the mind is to expand, to explore, and to surpass what once seemed impossible. Listen, yet never let your own belief be controlled by the doubts of others. Just as the eagle does not learn to fly from chickens on the ground, a human being cannot reach their true potential if they forever live within the small vision of the crowd. Keep your own imagination larger than the fears of others. Let your desire become the sky, not a cage. When you dare to step beyond the limits others have placed on you, you will discover that life is far wider than anything they ever imagined, and far wider than you once imagined for yourself. The only journey that cannot be taken is the one you never begin. Tony Robbins. Most dreams do not die from failure, but from hesitation. Inside our minds, there is always a gap between desire and action. In that gap, fear speaks loudest. Fear of being wrong, fear of losing face, fear of not being good enough, fear that the road ahead is too long. And so many people remain frozen at the starting line of life, inventing hundreds of reasons to delay that first step. No path ever opens for those who stand still. A path only appears beneath the feet of those who dare to walk. Like a traveler stepping into a misty forest, they cannot see the entire journey from the beginning. They see only a few steps ahead, yet those small steps gradually draw the whole long road into existence. Life works the same way. The first action, no matter how clumsy or slow, is still far more powerful than 1,000 ideas that remain only thoughts. Beginning holds a strange power. It shatters the inertia of fear. Before we begin, the mind often exaggerates difficulties, turning small obstacles into towering mountains. But the moment we act, the mind shifts from worry to problem solving. We learn, adjust, and grow with every step. No one becomes skilled before they begin. We only become better by beginning and continuing. What holds us back most is not the length of the journey, but the silence of that very first step. Every dream is like a door left slightly ajar. It does not open for those who merely stand and stare, but for those brave enough to place their hand on the knob. When you begin, even with one small step, you have already done what so many have never dared, turned possibility into reality. And then you will realize a simple yet profound truth. The world does not wait for the perfect. The world clears a path for those who dare to set out. Therefore, the only journey that can truly never be completed is the one we never step into. The moment you begin, you have already won half the journey of your life. If you fell yesterday, stand up today. H.G. Wells. In life, stumbling is not unusual. It is almost an inevitable part of the journey of growth. What truly defines a person's worth is not how many times they have fallen, but whether after each fall they choose to stay on the ground or rise and keep walking. Failure is like a sudden rain on a long road. It may soak you, it may slow you, but it cannot stop you from reaching the destination if you continue onward. The memory of a single fall often carries great weight. It makes us doubt ourselves and reminds us of the pain, shame, or disappointment. And those very memories can become invisible ropes that bind our will. Yet, if we look deeper, every fall is actually a lesson life, gives us a small map that helps us understand the road ahead more clearly. Like a mountain climber who slips on a rocky cliff. That slip not only hurts, but also teaches them how to place their foot more firmly on the next step. The spiritual strength of a human being lies not in avoiding every mistake, but in the ability to be reborn after each mistake. A person who knows how to stand again after failure is like bamboo after a storm. It may bend, but it does not break. They understand that yesterday is only a page already written in the book of life, while today is still a blank page waiting to be filled. And as long as we dare to rise, that story still has the chance to become stronger and deeper. Do not let yesterday's fall become today's verdict. See it instead as a stepping stone, an experience, a reminder that you are still on the way. When you stand up after every fall, you do not merely continue the journey, you become stronger than the person you were yesterday. And sometimes those who have fallen the most are the ones who walk the steadiest on life's long road. Don't watch the clock, do what it does. Keep going. Sam Levenson. There is a strange psychological habit. When facing a long road, we often stare at the clock to measure the remaining time instead of focusing on our own footsteps. And that very attention can exhaust us before the journey has truly begun. The clock never stops. It does not complain, does not worry, does not compare itself to anyone. It simply moves silently, tick by tick, second by second, minute by minute. Its power lies in its unwavering steadiness. Each small turn, seemingly meaningless, adds up over time to create an entire day, a month, a year. A human life operates by that same quiet principle. Small but continuous steps are always stronger than short bursts of enthusiasm that quit halfway. When we focus too much on time, the mind easily falls into pressure and comparison. We ask ourselves, why haven't I achieved that yet? Why have others gone farther? Those questions are like stones added to the backpack of our will, making the journey heavier. But when we concentrate on the action, on the task before us, on the step we are taking right now, the mind becomes lighter and clearer. Progress then happens naturally, like a patient stream wearing down a rock over years. The truly persistent in life are not those who anxiously watch the destination, but those who understand the value of every small step forward. They are like the clock on the wall, never in a hurry, never pausing, yet always moving ahead. And that steady rhythm creates astonishing power over time. When the road ahead seems endlessly long, stop looking at the clock hands. Focus instead on taking one more step, completing one more task, moving forward just a little more. Because in the end, it is not the fastest runner who goes farthest, but the one patient enough to keep moving while time quietly flows on. And when you maintain that rhythm, you will realize that every passing second is not pressure, but a silent ally of your growth. Not all that glitters is gold. William Shakespeare. In a world filled with dazzling images and powerful first impressions, our minds are often drawn to bright appearances. Humans tend to believe what is easy to see: light, fame, showiness. Yet that is exactly where the mind is most easily mistaken, because appearances are often only a glossy coat over a far more complex reality. A stone lying under sunlight. When light strikes it, the stone may sparkle like precious metal. But only when we bend down, touch it, and look closely do we discover it is merely a piece of glass or an ordinary pebble. Life is the same. There are people, opportunities, or promises that appear brilliantly dazzling at first glance, yet their true value only reveals itself after time and deeper observation. Wisdom does not lie in being impressed by the shine, but in understanding the true nature of that light. A spiritually mature person learns to slow down before anything that seems too perfect. They know that truth is usually humble, simple, and needs no fanfare to prove its worth. In fact, real gold rarely needs to glitter excessively to attract attention. Its value lies in its enduring nature that time cannot fade. People are the same. Those who are truly deep rarely need to show off. They are like glowing embers beneath the ashes, quiet yet radiating lasting warmth. Train the alertness of your mind. Do not rush to believe everything simply because it shines before your eyes. Observe longer, think deeper, and listen to your own intuition. When you do that, you will gradually discover an interesting law of life. What is truly precious is sometimes not the brightest thing, but the most enduring one. And when you learn to recognize real gold among countless false sparkles, you have taken one important step further on the path of intellectual growth. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. The Bible. What we truly desire and persistently seek will gradually unfold before our eyes. In life, many people feel the world remains silent before their wishes. Yet if we look deeper, we realize that not every prayer comes from true determination, and not every search is persistent enough to reach the answer. The human mind is like a compass. When we truly want something, our thoughts begin to turn toward it. We notice opportunities we once overlooked, we learn more, we observe more, and we step steadily closer to what we seek. Therefore, asking is not only words spoken outward, but also an affirmation to our own soul that we are ready to receive what is good. And seeking is not merely looking around, but a persistent process of will and faith. A person walking through darkness with a small lantern in hand. The lantern's light is not enough to illuminate the entire long road ahead, yet it is enough to light the few steps right in front. That person walks, then walks again, and the path slowly emerges from the shadows. Life operates in exactly the same way. When you dare to seek, you begin to open doors that once seemed not to exist. Faith holds a special power. It keeps people from giving up too soon and from turning away at the first difficulty. Those who believe they can find what they need will keep knocking, keep learning, keep trying again. And that very persistence is often the real key to success. Dare to desire, dare to ask, dare to seek. Because when a person actively opens their heart and moves forward with faith, the world seems to begin answering in return. And sometimes the greatest miracle is not what we receive, but the strong and steadfast person we become throughout that journey of seeking. The one who travels alone travels fastest. Rudyard Kipling. When we walk alone, we do not have to wait for anyone, nor adjust our pace to match others. Every decision, every turn comes directly from our own will. Therefore, the journey becomes faster and simpler, like an arrow shot straight forward without being hindered by surrounding forces. In life, walking alone often requires a special kind of spiritual strength. It is the ability to face silence, doubts, and the occasional feeling of loneliness on the long road. Yet it is precisely in that quietness that we have the chance to hear our own voice clearly. When we are no longer lost in the noise of the crowd, we realize what we truly want and where we are truly going. That independence is like a strong wind behind a sail. It propels the boat faster across the vast water. Those who can walk alone are usually those with solid inner strength. They do not need constant recognition from others to keep moving. They understand that every person's path carries its own footprints, and not everyone will understand or walk beside them from the beginning. That confidence allows them to maintain their speed and direction even when no one else is walking with them yet. However, the deeper meaning of this saying is not to encourage isolation from the world, but to remind us that true strength begins with self-mastery. When a person can walk alone without fear, they will later walk with others with greater confidence and maturity, because they no longer depend on the group to define their own value. Life is like a long road passing through many different landscapes. There will be stretches where you walk with others, sharing stories and motivation. But there will also be stretches where only you and the sound of your own footsteps exist. And in those moments, if you still keep moving forward, you will realize an important truth. Sometimes that temporary solitude is exactly the source of strength that lets you travel faster, farther, and understand yourself more deeply. If at first you don't succeed, try again. W.E. Hickson. Success rarely appears on the very first attempt. Most things of value in life are built from repeated attempts, from unsteady steps, and from the perseverance that refuses to surrender before the first failure. Yet the human mind often reacts the opposite way. A single failure is enough to make many people doubt their own ability. In truth, the first failure is like touching a still locked door with your hand. It is not a sign that you should not enter, but simply a reminder that you need to find the right key. Those who give up easily look at the door and turn away, while the persistent will try once more, turn the key differently, and knock again. And many doors in life open only for those patient enough to try again. A child learning to walk. Its first steps are always wobbly, then it falls. If that child concluded after the first fall that I cannot walk, humanity might never have learned to take a step. But the instinct for growth in humans does not allow that. The child stands up, tries again, and tries once more. And that seemingly naive repetition created one of the most miraculous abilities of humankind. Each attempt is another chance for the mind to learn. The brain records the mistake, adjusts the approach, and gradually becomes more refined. That means your second attempt is not the same as the first. It is stronger because it carries experience. The persistent understand that failure is not the end, but part of the process that sharpens ability. When the first attempt fails, the most important thing is not the feeling of disappointment, but your next decision. If you choose to try again, you are sending a powerful message to yourself that a temporary result is not enough to define your potential. And sometimes the distance between failure and success is simply one more attempt, one more time standing up, one more step forward, one more time believing in yourself just a little bit more.